Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing the long-awaited video that I've been wanting to make for like a year now, a year and a half now. This is about a topic that is pretty important to me. I have some notes on my iPad that I want to talk about and make sure that I don't miss anything because it's really important to me. A couple of days ago, I posted on my Instagram story, what are some questions that you have for me? I'm going to be doing a Q&A video about weight gain, hormones, women's health, all of that, and I wanted to make sure that I answered everyone's questions. And so I didn't get that many questions, but I got enough to make this video. I'm sure you guys obviously read the title of the video, so you know it's about weight gain, birth control, healing my hormones, and then just life changes in general. So this might be a little bit of a longer video. I'm on the floor, literally on the floor of my bedroom, so get comfortable, get some snacks, and let's get into it. Where to start? I think we'll start back in 2021, the beginning of the year. I got married in April of 2021, the best decision of my life, and leading up to that I made the worst decision of my life, which was to get on birth control. I got the IUD. I did not do the pill. I did not do like the injections, the ring. There's a lot of different birth control options out there, but after doing minimal research, I decided to go with the IUD. Now, a couple of things to note. I was really worried that my IUD was going to make me break out. Acne was something that I had kind of struggled off and on. Throughout high school, my skin kind of got a little bit better. Middle school was bad. High school got a little bit better. And then I went to college for a semester. It was the worst acne I've ever had in my life. So I was like, okay, I just got out of having horrible acne. Don't need to be putting hormones in my body and then making myself have worse acne. Coincidentally, my sister, who had been married for like 4 to 5 years at the time, has had an IUD for the whole time of her marriage, and she had the Kyleena IUD. And so I was like, okay, we're sisters, we share similar genetics, I'm gonna get the Kyleena. The Kyleena has less hormone than the Marina, not really sure how to say that. And obviously it has more hormones than the copper IUD, which the copper IUD doesn't have any hormones in it. And I didn't want the copper IUD because I had heard just some bad stories about it. I had a friend who got pregnant on the copper IUD. So I was like, okay, no, we're not gonna do that. I went into our marriage with this IUD. And again, I had never had any type of birth control before. I literally had had nothing. So this was like a whole new thing for me. So I got into the IUD, and luckily I didn't break out at all. It didn't affect my skin whatsoever, but the things that I did notice were, first and foremost, were my mood changes. I wouldn't say that I was like crazy and all over the place. More so, any feeling that I was feeling was amplified. That's the best way that I can describe it. So if I was feeling sad, I was so sad. If I was irritated, so irritated. So just like any of my negative emotions, they were just amplified so much. Which, thank the heavens that my husband stuck by me, because I don't know, like thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, who was that girl? I have no idea. I got my birth control, I got married, everything was great. I didn't get pregnant, so it was really nice to not have to worry about that. We didn't really even use like condoms or anything. I know it's TMI, but this whole video is TMI, so you're at the right spot if you want to know everything. I'm not scared to talk about weight, so just a little trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about weight and everything like that and sharing exact numbers. And so I think when I got married, I was like I want to say 145. I think that's correct. So I was like 145. That was pretty typical for me. I fluctuated between 145 to 150, so that was pretty typical for me. I'm 5'8". I wasn't like fat or overweight or by any means. I was kind of like a tall girl. Keep in mind my lifestyle at the time, I didn't really exercise too much. I did care about my health, so I would every now and then exercise, try to eat a little bit more clean. My mom actually even said that right before I got married, I was like pretty gung-ho on eating clean. I don't really remember that, but I'll take her word for it. So I guess I was doing kind of good that way. So fast forward, I think it's like September. It was like August or September. No. Actually, what happened was the first time that I had like noticed anything in regards to my weight had changed was my family does an annual Bear Lake trip, and we are there for a week. We're in swimsuits the whole time, we're boating the whole time, we're on the beach the whole time. It's a lot of fun. And I remember I have this specific swimsuit, and I remember putting it on being like, oh, like I feel kind of like weird. I don't really know, like my body doesn't feel exactly how it has always felt. Like but I didn't feel like fat. Like looking in the mirror, I couldn't really like tell that much of a difference, but I just kind of like felt it. I remember being in that swimsuit the whole week. I just kept asking my mom over and over again, like, have I gained weight? Like, does it look like I have gained weight? Like, I'm confused. And keep in mind, you guys, up until this point in my life, I had never ever been concerned about my weight. I know that's a blessing. I know not everyone experiences that, but for me at least, I've always been super confident in my body. It was never something that I was like, oh my gosh, like, does my butt look too big? My boobs are too flat. Like, I never had those issues. I'm really grateful, but it was a whole new ball game for me to be like, okay, wait, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with what's going on with my body. So that Bear Lake trip happened in July. I think it was like sometime in the middle of July. Then fast forward to, I want to say August or September. I don't really know the exact dates. Actually, I probably could find it in my calendar. Let me look real quick. Okay, believe it or not, I literally found it in my calendar. It was on September 14th, 2021. I went to the doctor's office for my annual checkup for my thyroid. And I remember so vividly stepping on the scale because they weigh you and everything like that, and it's not new. And I remember seeing that I was 170. I was like, no way the scale's broken at the office. That was literally my thought. It wasn't broken. I ended up coming home and I think that appointment, I was like, hey, I'm really concerned about my weight. It was either that appointment or a year later where I said I was concerned about my weight. I don't remember. But I remember coming home from that specific appointment. We lived in a fourplex at that time. I came home. And I was like, Bevan, my weight at the doctor's office said I was 170. He was like, oh, the scale is probably like not working. Same thing as me. I was like, yeah, you're right. So then I weigh myself at home. Sure enough, 170. I was like, and I was shocked. That's literally like 25 pounds. The most weight I think I'd ever gained in my life at that point. My body at the time didn't look noticeably different, but enough where I was like starting to get a little bit uncomfortable in my own skin. And if anyone has felt this way before, I'm so sorry. It's the worst feeling ever. But that was the point where I was like, okay, I'm definitely gaining weight. Like, this is super weird. Fast forward 6 months later, I ended up having another checkup with my doctor because I think she increased my medicine a little bit. And then I had to do like another set of labs 6 months later. I can't remember. But anyways, there was one point where I went to my doctor and I was like, hey, you know, I just got married and I have never had birth control before. I've had this IUD in. I've gained a significant amount of weight. Like, is it the transition of getting married that gave me the weight? Is it the IUD that gave me the weight? Is it the way my eating habits have changed? Little side note here, this is a whole other video, but growing up in my house, we never had like snacks or treats or anything like that. Our household was strictly an ingredient household. If you know, you know. And so when I got married, I had that freedom of like, oh, like I'm planning the meals, I'm getting the snacks. I literally went insane. It's embarrassing to say, but I would buy like all these treats. I would buy like the huge goldfish box and just like pound it through the week. And I worked from home and sitting, so it was just like a recipe for disaster. Anyway, so I was like, hey, is that the problem? Like, what's the problem? I also wasn't exercising or doing anything like that. Wasn't drinking enough water. Definitely wasn't. I was just like, hey, like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, you're fine. Like, you're becoming a woman. Your body's changing. You're getting like bigger hips, bigger boobs, bigger butt. Like, you're fine. And so I just kind of took that like, okay, like I'm fine. Like, I'm a little bit uncomfortable in my own skin, but like, if my doctor says I'm fine, like I have to listen to her, right? No, I didn't have to listen to her. I know she was giving me the best advice that she could, but just listen to your own body. I knew that something was wrong and I should have listened to myself earlier, and it makes me sad that I didn't. I think I'm getting these timelines wrong, you guys. I can't remember exactly when I went to the doctor and told her about my weight concerns. Whenever that was, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that the next April, I went to see a podiatrist for my foot problems, and I had to step on a scale there. And I got on the scale and I remember I think I was 192. So of course it was higher. And I think I'd had a couple of different doctor's appointments between then. I don't really remember, but I just remember every time I would like weigh myself, it was just more and more. Like, how defeating is that? I was with Bevan that time. He was with me. And so I stepped on the scale and we both just like look at each other like, what is happening? Like, I'm literally an elephant. Like, what's going on? And then I had the doctor's appointment. I was like, whatever. At that point, I kind of accepted the fact that I was gaining weight. I was still uncomfortable, but I was like, oh, haha, let me just laugh it off because I don't know like what else to do. There's a lot of things to do, but I just didn't know what to do. I was in April, literally on our way to go to our anniversary trip. And so we like literally went to the doctor and then like left to St. George for our trip. So I was like talking to him like, that's so weird. Like, I don't know why I'm literally gaining weight constantly. I don't exactly remember when this was, but I hit my breaking point. It was one evening in our house. Bevan was gone. I don't know where he was, probably either hanging out with friends or maybe he was doing something with our church. I can't quite remember. But I remember I was sitting on our couch in the corner and I just like looked down at my body and I felt trapped. I like didn't recognize myself. I didn't like what I was seeing on my body. I was like swollen all over, like my face was a little bit chubbier. Everything was just bigger. And I remember my boobs grew so much. I'm actually going to insert a picture. So if you don't want to see me in a bikini, that's pretty revealing, then just fast forward a couple of seconds. But I'll show you a picture. This picture was me in high school with like my very immature body. No, this was right after I graduated high school. That's what my boobs look like. And then this is me after I had gained weight. And you see the difference? My yonkers were yonking. They were huge. Anyway, so I was like, my boobs are big, my butt's bigger, my thighs are bigger, everything's puffy. Like I just was, and I had the biggest panic attack that I had had in a long time. I remember just like bawling and bawling, and it was one of the weakest moments of my life. And I remember just like wanting to rip my skin off. I just wanted to like rip everything off because I was so uncomfortable. I was like, this isn't me, this isn't who I am. And then that's when I decided that I was gonna get my IUD out. Well, I made an appointment with a new doctor because we had moved from Pleasant Grove to West Jordan. We were living in our house that we're in now. So I made an appointment to get my IUD out, and I can't remember the exact weight that I was when I got my IUD removed, but all that I do know is that at one point in my journey of like my weight gain, at one point I maxed 200 and I was a little bit over 200. I think my highest was like 202, maybe 203. That's a lot of weight for a 21-year-old woman who's 5'8". That's pretty heavy for me. The thing about me though is I carry my weight relatively good. I don't really know if you can carry weight well or not, but I feel like I did. I feel like I gained a lot of weight in my thighs, and then my butt gained a lot of weight, and then my boobs obviously grew. I feel like my arms got a little puffy, which they still kind of bother me to this day, but we're working on it. So arms got a little bit swollen, and my tummy didn't really get too big. Like I was definitely bloated a lot, but it wasn't like ginormous. I remember I had a conversation with one of my friends and I was like, dude, I have gained weight and it sucks. And she was like, yeah, I just got back from my mission, like it sucks. Like how much do you weigh? And I told her, she was like, what? Like you literally do not look like you weigh that much. I was like, I know, I'm a dense girl, but I do weigh that much. She's like, wow, you carry your weight really well. I'm like, thanks. That's nothing I really did to do that, but thank you. Anyway, so that was kind of my journey. That happened in 2022. I got my IUD removed in July. I got it removed right before we went on our annual Bear Lake trip again. I literally got my IUD removed, and then that next week we went to Bear Lake. So it was literally like a full circle, like a year moment since having my like, oh, am I like gaining weight? One thing to note is that my body didn't react super well to getting my IUD out, which I know is pretty common. So just an FYI, there is something called the Mirena crash, which is basically when you remove an IUD or stop taking the hormones, your body kind of freaks out because it doesn't really know what to do because it's been reliant and like heavily had those hormones for so long. So your body kind of freaks out. I had a little bit of a fever. I did have a fever for a day and I felt kind of sick and like, I think I was nauseous and I think I had an upset tummy. So those are just my symptoms. I know some people have it worse. Some people don't get it at all, but just be aware of that. And then that next week at Bear Lake, I ended up getting a cold, and I don't know if that was like part of the Mirena crash or if it was just, I just got a bug, and I had like a super bad fever on the trip. I was super sick. I felt really achy and weak. So I don't know if that was just like a coincidence or if it was just me. I think I was the only one on the trip who got sick, so who knows. Then began my health journey. The next part of my journey that I want to talk about was when I started to work out at the end of 2022 and I started taking her greens. So I think it was at the end, I think it was November of 2022, I want to say, I started taking her greens. I had heard about them online. I'd seen a lot of the advertising and I was hooked. So I bought some and I started taking those every day. And since then, I've been taking those every single day religiously, and I love them. And a couple of benefits that I noticed, this is not an ad, I wish it was, but it's not. A couple of things that I noticed right off the bat from taking those was I felt like my appetite was getting under control. I didn't feel like I needed to constantly be eating snacks and things like that, which as a result, I stopped really buying snacks, which is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because I don't just like constantly am like eating chips or different things like that. Curse because when I'm hungry for those. So I started taking that. I noticed my appetite was under control. I was less bloated. I think that's what took away my bloating. Ever since I started taking those religiously, I've not been bloated. It's been the best thing ever. I felt more energized. I felt better. There's just so many benefits of taking greens. I don't know if her greens is the best in the market, but I would definitely recommend doing that. So I started taking the her greens, and then I think that motivated me to want to start moving my body more. So then I started doing like little at-home workouts on YouTube. I looked up, if you guys have heard of Mad Fit, I did her like full body 20-minute workout like every day for a while, and that kind of what got me into it. And then I found Fit On for my sisters, and then I started doing that. So I've been doing Fit On for, I want to say over a year, but I'm not sure. But I absolutely love Fit On. Drinking mixers is what got me into the Mixers podcast and got me into all the hormone health awareness and the women's health, and that journey began, and I will never go back. I simply can never go back after knowing the information that I know. Another thing to know that I didn't talk about before is my weight fluctuated super heavily. Remember when I was talking to my friend earlier about how I was like 200, I can't remember exact, 193, whatever it was. I was telling her as well that my weight fluctuated immensely, like a 5 to 7 pound difference like each day, which I know is just water weight, but it was intense. And she was like, dude, if I lose like 5 pounds, you can see a noticeable difference in my body. I'm like, yeah, I lose like 5 pounds, 7 pounds overnight, nothing changes. I just look the same bloated whale. I started doing Fit On, I think it was like 182 or so. And then over since the course of doing Fit On, I have become like less and less, which has been super nice. Now my goal isn't to just lose a bunch of weight. My goal is to feel better and to look better. And honestly, you can look really good and still be heavy. That can be muscle, it can be a lot of different things. And so it's not super healthy to get on the scale every single day and weigh yourself, because you could be seeing a change in your physique and not actually see a change on the scale. So it can be very discouraging that way. So I just try to focus on like what I feel like and how I look and those different things. The sad thing is, right after I got my IUD out, I literally weighed myself every single day thinking that the pounds were just gonna fly off. And honestly, for a few days they did, but I don't think that had anything to do with getting my IUD out. I think it was just my body was just fluctuating. I like lost a pound every single day. I was like, wow. And then I went to Bear Lake, and then I got super sick, like I just said. So that's just something that was not healthy that I did, but I did anyways. Fast forward to right now, I am in the healthiest that I've been. I've been drinking lots of water. I'm currently doing 75 stops, so that's been awesome. I've never done anything like this, and it's pushed me a lot. And even though I'm in the best shape that I've been in a long time, probably since high school, honestly, I don't look like I did in high school. Obviously my boobs are still a lot bigger than they were. My butt is a lot bigger, my thighs are still bigger, and there are parts of my body that I'm not necessarily obsessed with, but I am so grateful for what my body does for me every single day and what it will be able to do for me and can do for me. So I'm a lot happier and in a much better headspace than I was when I was having my mental breakdown on the couch all those months ago. Right now my weight is currently around 182. I fluctuate from like 180, 182, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Now I'd be lying if I said I didn't weigh myself every now and then. I used to weigh myself like every week on a Monday religiously, and I feel like I should probably stop doing that. I've like kind of tapered here and there, but like I probably should stop doing that, because like I said before, I'm just really focusing on how I feel and how much energy and how strong I am. I'm really focusing on strength, which has been super fun. A really cool journey for myself and my body. I am going to end the video here. I'm gonna make a part 2 of this. Make sure you go and watch that, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to everything, and I'll see you guys in the next one.